So here's something I was thinking about recently, and it happens to almost everybody. Let's say something in your life is just stuck, a project, a decision, a direction that you can't figure out. And you sit with it and you think about it and you research it and you lose sleep over it. And some days later, you're talking to somebody and you mention it and they say, like, oh, well, have you talked to so and so? They went through that same exact thing.
And you figure out that the answer that you were looking for, it was a total of like 3 phone calls away the whole time.
Yeah, 3 phone calls, and you didn't make them. It's not because you didn't care, and not because you were too proud. Well, it's
Maybe.
probably because you were too proud,
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
but mostly because nobody ever taught you that asking for help is actually a skill, that the people around you are one of the most underrated resources that we have.
Yeah, and so today we're gonna talk about what it actually looks like to utilize that resource, the playbook that we never got.
This is the nature of everything. Don't stay stuck.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nature of Everything. I'm Bo.
And I'm Clint. And you know what? We just got back from climbing the entirety of Mount Everest and we performed a sold out arena. No, we didn't. Actually, we didn't do any of that. I just showed up with a sinus infection. And you know what? Here we are.
Yeah, you were really starting off with a big lie there. You showed up with the sinus infection, and I showed up with a cup of coffee. So I'm going to say that that's an achievement.
You know what? We're making strides. So, look, this is the podcast where we get into the real work of getting unstuck. No fluff, no lecture, no pretending. Definitely no pretending that we got it all figured out. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Look, we work stuff using coin, confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything. It's a framework that we built, and it's a book that you can grab at thenatureofeverything.com. And really, at this point, it's just kind of how we live.
So, today we're talking about something that sounds simple, but most people genuinely never do this well. And it's asking for help, using the people in your life as the resource that they actually are. And you know what? We're going to give you the playbook for how we do this.
So, whether you're working through a career decision or a relationship problem or a business thing, your instinct is to go internal, to think harder and to research more and just figure it out yourself.
Yeah, so on the surface, that's not a bad instinct at all. Self sufficiency, like being able to handle your own stuff, that's also a real skill.
Yeah, it is. But there's also a version of it that kind of crosses the line, where self sufficiency stops being a strength and it starts being a wall. And the wall keeps out not just the bad stuff, it also keeps out people who could actually help you.
You're right. And just so happens there's research that goes along with this. And there's a particular study out of Cornell. And Francis Flynn and Vanessa Lake, they tested people's ability to predict whether strangers would help them if they just asked directly. And people consistently underestimated the likelihood of getting a yes through this. And underestimated like by about 50%. So we think people will say no far more often than they actually will.
So we're actually predicting failure at double the actual rate.
Yeah, indeed. And with this, like their explanation is that we're focused on what it's going to feel like that it's awkward to make the ask. And
Mm.
so the potential for rejection is really sort of the concerning piece. Here's what's interesting. The person that is being asked is focused on something completely different. They're focused on how would it feel to say no to someone who actually needs the help.
Mm.
Yeah, so the social cost of refusing the help is higher than what we actually think, which what this says is that yes is more available and more often available than what we want to even believe.
That hits me really hard because I think for a lot of us, and I'm certainly putting myself in this,
Mhm.
the ask feels like an imposition,
Mhm.
like you're burdening someone.
Sure.
And that research is saying like it's twice as likely to just be in our heads.
Sure. Well, I mean, and it's a perception gap. We're guessing wrong about how people will actually respond to us. And that wrong guess, those have the real consequences because we never ask. And so the help that was available simply stays on the shelf because we refuse to ask.
Yeah, and look, just thinking about this intuitively, I mean, we've been taught, at least at some cultural level, that needing help is weakness.
Hmm. Hmm.
Everybody's like, be independent, like, figure it out. That hustle culture that we talk about,
Sure.
don't be a burden.
I get it. The script is that it's costing people and like measurably, there are costs in not asking because the outcomes, they never get the outcome because they never make the ask.
Okay, so if most of us are underusing the people around us and we're systematically wrong about how they're going to respond, what does it actually look like to do this well? What is this playbook that we're talking about?
Well, let's name something first. Because when people hear use people as a resource, I think the immediate sort of feel and the immediate mental mindset that they set up, networking it kind of becomes gross in that sense of the word. You're somehow you're working the room or like somehow it's strategic relationship building. And all of that is it's neither gross nor is it tremendously awesome. It just simply is like the person who only calls when they need something. Yeah, that's gross, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, nobody likes that guy.
No, no, nobody likes that guy. And again, that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're seeking. What we're talking about is something that is much more human than that. It's being willing to be honest about where you are and what your needs are. And this is generally with people that you already know and they already know you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a big key here. It's not about going out and finding new people to extract value from. I mean, it's not like finding
Right.
strangers.
Sure.
This is about people that are already in your orbit, your existing relationships, and probably the ones that have been sitting like totally untapped just because you never really would bring them the real stuff.
Sure. And there's a reason those conversations are hard. Adam Grant writes about this in his work Give and Take. And it's one of the best books on the dynamics of what human relationships are in like a professional context. And his research finds that most successful people are not just generous, they're also willing to ask.
Mm.
So they can receive as well. And that combination, being able to give and being able to receive, that's what actually builds the strong relational networks that they use to be so, so successful.
Yeah, because when you ask someone for help and you're being really like, just genuine about it, you're not imposing on them. You're actually giving them something. You're giving them the chance to matter to you.
Yeah, which, intuitively, that kind of flips things on its end, right?
Yeah, changes everything.
Sure.
I
Sure.
think that reframe that asking is giving. I mean, it sounds counterintuitive, but it unlocks people because the block isn't laziness. And I really don't think it's just pride. It's this misread of the transaction. We think that we're taking from them by asking, but we're not. We're just connecting.
Yeah, so that's how the practical playbook looks. Because when you are able to be specific about what you need, not the, well, I'm just kind of struggling with some stuff. That's fine. But like, I'm trying to figure out X. Have you ever dealt with something that looks like X? Do you have a solution that you know that has worked for X? If not, do you know anyone who has dealt with X and can give specifics and give me specific help about X? That's different.
I don't think that you have to just perform all the time to be perfectly competent in every way.
Mm-mm.
You can just be honest about it.
Hmm.
And especially with people that people that, hopefully care about you, that performance is exhausting and it just keeps everybody walled off. Hey, quick pause. If you want to go deeper on this stuff, the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and all the tools to actually close it, if you want to think about that stuff, we wrote a book. Confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything in your life. You can find it at thenatureofeverything.com. It's built to be used. Dog ear it, write in it, come back to it. Just grab it.
Absolutely. And look, if you want community around this, the people that are doing the same work at the same time, then find us. Search the nature of everything. We'd love to have you come and join the conversation and fit right in with us. Let's get back to it.
So here's what I want to address, because someone listening right now is saying, like, okay, I get it. I should ask for help more, but they're not going to do it,
Mhm.
because knowing and doing are two different things.
Extremely, extremely different things.
So why does it keep happening? Even when people understand the value of it, why do they still just want to go it alone?
I would say that a few things are colliding at the same time when we talk about this. One, we talked about is identity. A lot of people have built this self image around being so adamantly capable of everything, being the one who figures it all out, and asking for help feels like a almost like a threat to that identity. It's almost like it would shake the foundations of who you are to show weakness by asking. And unfortunately, nobody else would see it that way. You just feel it yourself.
I don't appreciate you talking about me
You're right here, huh?
so
You're right
directly
here.
on this podcast. But look, I've lived that for long seasons at a time. Asking for help, it felt like admitting that I wasn't who I said I was. It's
Mhm.
that old imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
right? Like the ask itself was evidence against me.
And it works in conjunction with the fact that we don't have practices built around what this is. And for too many people, it's not a practice, so it's not a habit. It's you're not capable of doing this in a comfortable way because we just hadn't built into that. So it really does feel awkward and super heavy every time we try, because simply approaching this, I mean, it feels weird. And so if you haven't warmed up to the idea and you haven't practiced this, then you don't have the skill set for it. It's just that's how it works.
Yeah, and here's what I think is the truth underneath all of this is that we forget that people in our lives are actually mostly rooting for us. We just don't think about that. I mean, we
Sure.
treat the ask like it's going to change how people see us. And it usually does the opposite.
Mhm.
Usually the ask makes the relationship more real.
Yep. Well, and Brene Brown, who most of us are pretty familiar with, her work found that like this vulnerability piece, being genuine, like honest vulnerability, that's the mechanism that provides the connection. It's not seen as a weakness. It's seen as the connector. So the people who can be vulnerable in their relationships consistently report that they have stronger, like more resilient, more capable relationships. Not because vulnerability is comfortable. We know it's
Mm-mm.
not. That doesn't feel good. But what it does do in its most base form is it signals that trust that you have of someone. So as it sort of plays out, trust is the currency piece of every meaningful relationship that you'll ever have in your life.
Yeah. So when you finally make the ask, when you say out loud, like, I don't have to figure this all out and I could use some help, you're not diminishing yourself in that person's eyes. You're actually elevating the relationship.
Sure. And again, the gap isn't awareness. It's the actual practice of this.
It's
And like
always the practice.
it really is. And just like with any practice, you get better at doing it. Asking for help, even when you ask imperfectly and you ask awkwardly and you ask with weird words and sighs and the eye contact's kind of strange. All of that's fine because that's the practice piece, that repeating this is building the skill to where you do it well.
All right. So let's make this really practical. Let's run a real scenario through Coin because, I mean, it's the tool. And we want to show you how to actually use it and not just talk about it.
So, scenario setup. You've got something in your life that's stuck. Maybe it's been stuck for a while and you recognize there are people in your orbit, people in your area, people in your circle of friends that you know, and they've been in these similar situations. They've got knowledge, or they've got the wisdom, they've got the experience, or maybe they didn't go through it specifically, but they know someone who has. So they have the connections that can actually move things forward. And you haven't talked to any of them about this. and you're simply just carrying this alone. That's the scenario setup.
All right. So, step one, confirm it. You have to get really honest about what's actually true. And the truth has two parts here. One, something is stuck. You've got a problem. Two, you've been treating it like a solo problem when it's probably not. You just have to name both of those things. You don't have to judge yourself. You don't have to be dramatic about it, but you do have to ask what's actually true here.
Yeah, I think too often the story that we tell ourselves is one, well, I don't want to bother anybody. I should be able to handle this on my own. You know what? And even if nobody would understand, nobody gets it. That's bullshit. People get it. That story, that's not helping you. It's not helping you. It's an excuse. It's a defense. Simply stated, like you can only work with what's real. And when you're telling
Hmm.
yourself all of these things that you're bothering someone, nobody would if nobody'd get it, like that's not real. And you can't work with stuff that's not real.
All right. So, step two, you have to take ownership of it.
Hmm.
And owning it here means being honest that you've been sitting here longer than you should have been. Look, ownership is never about beating yourself up, but it is an attempt to stop pretending that your solo approach is working when it's not.
It's true.
I mean, own the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Own the part where you've been keeping it all to yourself.
And that leads us to the intentionality piece. You have to be intentional. This is where the decision gets specific. Not, I really should reach out to some people. No, that's not what intention looks like. Intention looks like this. I'm going to call Bo this week. He went through something that was almost just like this 2 years ago. It was at least similar enough that he can tell me about it. And I'm going to tell him where I am, and I'm going to tell him honestly what's going on. And then I'm going to ask Bo, hey, do you have 15 minutes to talk? Give me something. Talk me through this. Give me some ideas.
Yeah, I mean, that's being intentional. We
Mhm.
always talk about you got to name it. You got to name it here too. You name the person that you're going to talk to. You name what you're going to talk about. You name a time frame. That's the difference between those New Year's resolutions and an actual plan of action.
Yeah, because that really is what changes the nature of everything. Again, this is the long game. This is the marathon piece. Like when you start making these asks of people and you start requesting these things and you do it consistently, getting help and being part of that relationship becomes how you operate. It changes the nature of things, right? You solve problems faster. Your relationship gets stronger. Your relationship gets deeper because people know the real version of who you are. And like the performance ceases, the mask is taken off. You show up authentically to ask for wisdom, to ask for help, and you do that authentically as you.
And that is changing the nature of everything.
Everything.
That's not
Absolutely.
just a better week, that's a better version of how you exist in the world.
Absolutely. And so, not to just sugarcoat this and say, all you got to do is ask, but what I do want to leave today knowing is that you got to ask. And that's
That's
sort
not
of
all you got to do, but it's a good first step.
it's a good start, right? And so here's challenge for the week. One move. Think about something that's been sitting on top of you and resting there and giving you weight and stress. Whatever that is, there's something that you're stuck with. There's something that we're all stuck with. Figure out what you've been trying to solve by yourself. You're trying to just go it alone. All right? Think about that. So your challenge is going to be think of one person, somebody already in your life, somebody who knows who you are. They get the terrain, they know the territory, they know what's coming with this. And this is going to be somebody that is going to have something useful to offer. Maybe they have been in this situation before, maybe they know somebody that has, or whatever. They're going to be somebody that, at the bare minimum, is a good sounding board partner to have in this. So you reach out to that person, not in some crazy big dramatic way, just honest. Hey, I've been working through something, and you know what? You crossed my mind. Do you happen to have a few minutes to talk? I'd like to go through some stuff. That's it. That's as far as you have to take it. As far as you don't have to get deep, but just reach out to that person that you know has been in that spot or has the information that you need. Just make the move.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be polished. Just be real, just be honest. And remember, you're not bad at people. You just haven't really been connecting with people
Hmm.
or maybe letting them connect with you.
That's right.
And that starts with just one honest ask. So this week, right now, do that. Don't wait.
Absolutely. And look, if you know exactly what we're talking about and you're feeling it, and you know that somebody else is feeling this too, you know that none of us are going through any of these things solo. And so
Mm-mm.
when we're feeling these and we're talking about asking for help and we're talking about giving help, giving and receiving and building those relationships, if you know that there's somebody that needs to hear what we're talking about right now, then reach out and let them know as well. Send them the podcast information. Find us at thenatureofeverything.com. Send us to them. We'd love to talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, the coin framework could be exactly what they're looking for. So come find us.
Absolutely. Remember, no matter what, don't stay stuck.
Before you go, just know it's time. Time to connect. Time to change the nature of everything. Find us at thenatureofeverything.com and don't stay stuck.